So I had spent nearly my whole life trying to get better. I hadn't been well physically, and also quite depressed from a difficult childhood and lots of toxins in my life. And I had just found out that despite of everything I had been doing, that my blood oxygen level was very low. So I went online and checked out blood oxygenation and found the Buteyko Method. I actually listened then to a seminar by Chris and also Martha. So that was pretty amazing, made a lot of sense, and I did start. I think listening to both Chris and Martha, I heard a lot of sincerity, I guess, and they both also talked about healing crises or symptoms that they had gone through, which made a lot of sense, because I knew by then, after 30 years of trying to get better, that it wasn't an easy journey necessarily. It just made a lot of sense. I'm also a little bit of a scientist, so the association between oxygenation and CO2 levels made a lot of sense. I think it was actually the sincerity and integrity of the practitioners that really convinced me in the end. One of the biggest symptoms I had at that point was fatigue. I was pretty much exhausted all the time. I couldn't sleep well. Other than that, I had done lots of practices and chiropractic and naturopathy, and was actually doing reasonably well, but I knew I wasn't right, and that wasn't how life should be. I still got quite depressed frequently. And what I wanted to say, from the first practice of Buteyko, probably from the first day or maybe second day, I slept through the night. Not even through the night, I slept properly for the first time, maybe in 20 years or something like that. I also felt immediately that I had more energy, and that just convinced me to continue through whatever it would take to make the full gains of that. So I had the immediate benefits. Then going through the course, I will just start talking about that now. The online workshop, I must say I really liked it, because I could do it from my couch and didn't have to go anywhere. Logging in is no problem at all, and you end up in a session which is very personal. So there was the trainer, and that was Joe for me, and perhaps another 8 or so people. So it was very intimate. We got to know each person and made some lasting connections with some of them. And it was a personal experience. I really liked it. It was like being in a small group with someone who really cared about what was going on and cared about the progress. So it was great. The amazing thing was that the benefits were really immediate. I had sleeping problems, and I also had anxiety about not sleeping enough all the time, so having to get my 8 hours in and all that sort of thing, so I would be had enough energy for the next day. That stopped immediately. I could sleep. I woke up refreshed for the first time really in a lot of years. That was the biggest immediate benefit, so straight away. So the cleansing process, this is now 8 months after I first started doing Buteyko. It went through various levels. It started with some physical symptoms, and a lot of the time they just pass. So there's, mucus, and there's flu symptoms, and there's a little bit of ache and pain. So for quite a while it just passed quite quickly, and I really felt assured also by the Buteyko practitioners that this was part of the process and I was getting better, and I still felt very much on the way of improving my energy the whole time doing that. Then there were a few periods within those months where I had severe symptoms, severe pain at some stage in my lower back and hip, at some stage in my teeth. And at another period I had severe depression, which was very interesting. So all of these things were old symptoms that were returning, and I thought I had overcome in my life. I had done a lot of personal work. I was able, through the support from the Buteyko practitioners, to step back enough to know that this was part of the process. At times it did feel very overwhelming, and the experience really wasn't that it was a symptom, but I just felt depressed and I felt I had a lot of pain. But through the Buteyko organization I had enough trust to just continue. I continued my practice, which is not that hard, it just takes a determination to do. I actually found that it didn't take any extra time out of my life, even because I didn't have to sleep that much anymore. But it can be, it can be strong, it can be quite severe. For me, doing this was like disagreeing with my old ways of life in a big way, because before that I had to pretty much be in bed by 10 or 11, can just push it to that, otherwise I'd be wrecked the next day. There's no way I would have ever gotten up at 3 to do anything like this. So doing the Buteyko has given me an amazing freedom to not be hung up on my routines, because I don't need them anymore. I have the freedom to do that and the energy to go to work the next day and to stay up as long as I like. It's been a freedom to live. So being part of the support session was my lifeline, really, so it was absolutely worth it. I really knew that I had found the right thing to get myself better. So one thing was that I wanted to know everything there was to know about it. But doing the intermediate course introduced exercises with it, and it broke up the routine of doing Buteyko in a sense, which is you shouldn't have a routine anyway in the end in your life. So I've been able to integrate it with physical stuff and exercise, walking, doing lots of arm swinging and all sorts of other things that have broken it up and made it more me. I'm able to integrate it into my day much more through that. And it's helped bringing my pauses up. Doing the advanced course has been a much more subtle benefit, which has been very long lasting. So it's changed my attitude to life. In that I'm no longer fighting whatever comes up, anything, but I'm able to deal with it in a very calm way, I guess, which also has given me a lot of power to deal with anything in life. Doing the advanced level has, through stopping the fight, really also helped me to increase my pauses much more easily without the fight. So it's actually taken the fighting out of my life, which is really amazing. So there were times when my symptoms were severe, especially mental symptoms, my depression. I did not feel anymore that it was doing any good or was getting through it. I thought maybe I'm just the only person that it doesn't work for or something like that. And I did not stop, because in that position you sort of can't do anything else anyway. So I actually continued. I actually didn't miss a day. So I just pushed through on some little string of faith that perhaps it was a symptom after all, and it did turn out to be that way. So I feel, you know, coming through it now, more happy than I've ever been in my life. I would say do it. That's really the bottom line. I feel that I've just been through all the symptoms I would have gotten in the next 30 years of getting old, so to speak, and that I have a new lease on life. I feel better than I've ever felt in my whole life. It's absolutely worth it. So the symptoms you get, or the hardship that you may go through, or the effort that it may take, it's nothing. It's not as bad as life would be otherwise. So I think absolutely just do it.